Hi and welcome. We are on day seven of our chronological Bible reading, where we are reading through the Bible in order of when it supposedly happened, as opposed to the order that it's in the Bible. So we just got through some Genesis. We are now on to the book of Job. Last time we finished Job 10 through 13, and I will link somewhere on here how to get to that, or if you want to get to the very beginning, if you want to get to Genesis, start along with us. That will all be in the links. So before we start, let's just do a quick prayer just to focus and get centered. So God, give me wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. God, let any knowledge that I gain serve to help me love you and others more and not puff me up. God, help me see something new about you that I've never seen before. God, correct any lies that I believe about you or anything that I misunderstand. And God, direct my steps according to your word. Amen. Okay, I had a monster sneeze. We are going to jump right in. All right, so we are on Job chapter 14. Brevity of life. As to catch people up, we are listening to Job continue to plead his case. His friends, 3 of his friends have talked to him now. Job has had a hard time, and he is continuing his story, or his side of the case. Man, born of woman, lives but a few days, and they are full of trouble. He grows up like a flower and then withers away. He flees like a shadow and does not remain. Do you fix your eye on such a one? And do you bring me before your judgment? Who can make a clean thing from an unclean? No one. Since man's days are determined, the number of his months is under your control. You have set his limit, and he cannot pass it. Look away from him and let him desist until he fulfills his time like a hired man. So he's talking to God right now. The inevitability of death. But there is hope for a tree. If it is cut down, it will sprout again, and its new shoots will not fail. Although its roots may grow old in the ground, and its stump begins to die in the soil, at the scent of the water it will flourish, and put forth shoots like a new plant. But man dies and is powerless. He expires, and where is he? As water disappears from the sea, or a river drains away and dries up, so man lies down and does not rise. Until the heavens are no more, they will not awake nor arise from their sleep. Oh, that you would hide me in Sheol and conceal me till your anger has passed. Oh, that you would set me a time and then remember me. If a man dies, will he live again? All the days of my hard service I will wait until my release comes. You will call, and I will answer you. You will long for the creature you have made. Surely now you count my steps, then you would not mark my sin. My offenses would be sealed up in a bag, and you would cover my sin. But as a mountain falls away and crumbles, and as a rock will be removed from its place, and water wears away stones, and torrents wash away the soil, so you destroy man's hope. You overpower him once for all, and he departs. You change his appearance and send him away. If his sons are honored, he does not know it. If they are brought low, he does not see it. Only his flesh has pain for himself, and he mourns for himself. So he is talking to God, as mentioned. So he's continuing his story. Now, this is the Net Bible translation. It's a very literal translation, but it has a ton of, so literal translations tend to be a little harder to understand because it's not put in today's language as much. It's more of a word-for-word translation from the original Hebrew or Greek. But there's a lot of translator notes. So let's see, was there anything... there wasn't anything that caught my eye that I specifically highlighted that did not make sense for this passage here. But there were some questions that I had from last time that I wanted to to cover. Just I did a little bit of research. The question that I had before was, how did Job know about God? Since this was before Moses, this is before, obviously before the New Testament was a thing, Old Testament was a thing. This is as it was being created. So how did they didn't have a Bible at this time. Oral tradition was the only real way that things were handed down from one generation to the next. So how did Job know about this? So there were some things that I researched. I didn't honestly find a great resource or great answer to this, other than the fact that one explanation I saw had that Adam and Eve knew God, like, intimately, and then several of the people in generationally knew God throughout the years, as mentioned in Genesis. And so it's assumed, we don't know, this is all speculation, that God gave information and instruction to Adam and Noah and all the different people that he talked to more relationally at that time. And then there's also that just innate feelings of things being right and wrong that we're kind of born with, and have that feeling of those less tangible ways of knowing God. But that's the likely way that they knew about God early on. The stories of Noah and the stories of generations past were likely handed down, but there wasn't the same instruction, likely, like we find later in like Leviticus, the Levitical laws that are handed down later, or the laws of Moses that are handed down later. But something similar probably did exist. It just wasn't. Somehow Cain and Abel knew to give an offering to God. Now, whether that was some type of instruction that we did not hear about in Genesis, or maybe that was just something that they wanted to do that was just kind of built into them. We don't know, but they knew to give some type of offering to God. So similar to how they knew, there's likely the same way that Job and his friends knew. But also similarly, as we've seen prior chapters, some of his friends got it wrong, and introduced their own view of things along the way. And maybe that's because it wasn't super clear. Maybe that's the sin of people. Maybe that's just how, it's been since eternity that we've, not quite had the full story, because we're here on earth as humans and not in the same understanding as God. I'm not really sure. I did find, so this is the NIV, Archaeological Study Bible. And unfortunately, this the NIV Archaeological Study Bible is not available in Logos. I did look for it, but it has some really good notes and really good text items that have been helpful so far that I've been looking through. So I'm going to keep that open as I read through, because so far there's been a couple notes about with Job that there's some ancient texts and artifacts that they found that none of them are, and this is, so Job, they think, was written possibly, they're not entirely sure who wrote it, but it was possibly written by Moses. That's the Jewish tradition, what it states, but they don't really know who wrote it. And that there's some texts that they found that back up what happened, but that there's thought that Job was likely a real person, but some of it is, considering at this point it was mostly oral tradition, it's saying that we don't have a compelling reason to doubt it was a single author, but the fact that it was full speeches that were recorded down and no one was actually there to record it. And similar to like who recorded in heaven, Satan talking to God. I mean, who was there to record that? So the explanation, the thought is that some of this is possibly a allegory or like a story about someone where they're inserting God's view of it on someone who actually was a righteous person. But it does have a lot of questions. I think Job is just generally known to be a very difficult book to understand all of it about. So, but anyway, if you do want to dig into some of this, I'll pick out the interesting things as I find it, but there's a ton of notes as we go. So let me get to the chapter. We're on 14. So I will get into the same chapter in this book as we were on there. See if there's anything interesting here. I don't see any like specific notes on chapter 14 that we just read. So we will continue on. So now we're back to his friend Eliphaz, and this is his second speech that we're about to hear. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered, "Does a wise man answer with blustery knowledge, or fill his belly with the east wind? Does he argue with useless talk, with words that have no value in them? But you even break off piety and hinder meditation before God. Your sin inspires your mouth. You choose the language of the crafty. Your own mouth condemns you, not I. Your own lips testify against you. Were you the first man ever born? Were you brought forth before the hills? Do you listen in on God's secret counsel? Do you limit wisdom to yourself?" What do you know that we don't? What do you understand that we don't understand? The gray-haired and the aged are on our side, men far older than your father. Are God's consolations too trivial for you, or are words spoken in gentleness to you? Why has your heart carried you away? Why do your eyes flash when you turn your rage against God and allow such words to escape from your mouth? What is a man that he should be pure, or one born of a woman that he should be righteous? If God places no trust in his holy ones, if even the heavens are not pure in his eyes, how much less man who is abominable and corrupt, who drinks like an evil water? If even the heavens are not pure in his eyes. Okay, this passage is going to have a couple things that I want to dig into a little more. I will explain to you, listen to me, and what I have seen I will declare. What wise men declare, hiding nothing from the traditions of their ancestors, to whom alone the land was given, with no foreigner passed among them. All of this we'll just have to dig into. All his days the wicked man suffers torment throughout the number of the years that are stored up for the tyrant. Terrifying sounds fill his ears. In a time of peace, marauders attack him. Robbers attack him. He does not expect to escape from darkness. He is marked for the sword. He wanders about, food for vultures. He knows that the day of darkness is at hand. Distress and anguish terrify him. They prevail against him, like a king ready to launch an attack. for he stretches out his hand against God and vaunts himself against the Almighty, defiantly charging against him with a thick, strong shield. Because he covered his face with fat and made his hips bulge with fat, he lived in ruined towns, and his houses where no one lives, where they are ready to crumble into heaps. He will not grow rich, his wealth will not endure, nor will his possessions spread over the land. He will not escape the darkness. A flame will wither his shoots, and he will depart by the breath of God's mouth. Let him not trust in what is worthless, deceiving himself, for worthlessness will be his reward. Before his time he will be paid in full, and his branches will not flourish. Like a vine he will let his sour grapes fall, and like an olive tree he will shed his blossoms. For the company of the godless is barren, and fire consumes the tents of those who accept bribes. They conceive trouble and bring forth evil. Their belly prepares deception. Okay, so that was Eliphaz's second uplifting, heartfelt speech. Again, great friend of his to really, just comfort him in his time of distress. It sounds like Eliphaz is being kind of like trying to be a elder, wiser man and talk to him about why are you speaking such ways of God, still sticking to the fact that he must have done something wrong. Let's see. Do you listen in on God's secret counsel? That was something. So what does that mean? The meaning in the context of the implication is secret counsel, the Lord of God. It is questioned. Job seemed to them to claim to have access to the mind of God. So, that's kind of true. Job's last couple paragraphs that he's spoken have been talking about how God sees humans, and his friends pointing out, hey, you don't actually know what God's thinking and what he's doing. So this is the Faith Life Study Bible that I have open on this screen. Make it a little bigger so y'all can read it a little better. Teman was a city in Edom associated with wisdom. So that might be why they mention that he's the Temanite. So kind of Eliphaz, the smart one, answered. So then it says the east wind is, so a hot desert wind typically associated with destruction is what, does a wise man fill his belly with the east wind? Okay. Your iniquity teaches your mouth. So Eliphaz argues that Job was not speaking from wisdom, but from sin. So 14 here, I highlighted, says, so verse 14 is, what is a man? He should be pure, or one born of a woman, that he should be righteous. So the note here says, Eliphaz reiterates the point he made from his vision. I have some other notes open. He returned directly to the question of his vision he had first introduced. Can any mortal be pure? Okay, yeah, so I think what's happening is Eliphaz is saying no one has done no wrong. Obviously, you've done something because everyone's done something. And that kind of is a theme that we do hear throughout the Bible. And I've heard that is one of the hard parts of Job, is that the friends do say a lot of true things, but they say a lot of untrue things. And so kind of separating out what is true versus not true sometimes is difficult. If God places no trust in his holy ones, so who are the holy ones? If even the heavens are not pure in his eyes, how much less man, who is abominable and corrupt, who drinks like evil water. I don't know why he's saying that God places no trust in his holy ones, but we'll continue on. From the tradition of their ancestors, to whom alone the land was given, with no foreigner passed among them. Okay, so the translator notes here also mentions that Edom was the proverbial home of wisdom here, and that Eliphaz is probably referencing his own people being wise and at any rate, the tradition of wisdom to Eliphaz has not been polluted by foreigners, but has retained its pure and moral nature from an antiquity. Okay. And I think we will continue on to 16. This is Job's reply to Eliphaz. Then Job replied, I have heard many things like these before. What miserable comforters you all are. Are you all? Yes, as we've pointed out. Will there be an end to your windy words, or what provokes you that you answer? I also could speak like you if you were in my place. I could pile up words against you, and I could shake my head at you, but I would strengthen you with my words. Comfort from my lips would bring you relief. Abandonment by God and man. But if I speak, my pain is not relieved, and I refrain from speaking. How much of it goes away? Surely now he has worn me out, and you have devastated my entire household. You have seized me, and it becomes a witness. My leanness has risen up against me and testifies against me. His anger has torn me and persecuted me. He has gnashed at me with his teeth. My adversary locks his eyes on me. People have opened their mouth against me. They have struck my cheek in scorn. They unite together against me. God abandons me to evil men and throws me into the hands of wicked men. I was in peace, and he has shattered me. He has seized me by the neck and crushed me. He has made me his target. His archers surround me. Without pity, he pierces my kidneys and pours out my gall on the ground. He breaks through against me time and time again. He rushes against me like a warrior. I have sewed sackcloth on my skin and buried my horn in the dust. My face is reddened because of weeping, and my eyelids there are a deep darkness. Although there is no violence in my hands, and my prayer is pure. An appeal to God as witness. O earth, do not cover my blood, nor let there be a secret place for my cry. Even now my witness is in heaven. My advocate is on high. My intercessor is my friend, and my eyes pour out tears to God. And he contends with God on behalf of man, as man pleads for his friend. For the years that lie ahead are few, and then I will go on the way of no return. Okay, we are done with today's reading. So let's study. I have 10 minutes left that I can study today. So let's just see what else we can hunt through and pick around and find that might be interesting. Let's see. So in the study Bible here, got it in my hand. Nothing terribly groundbreaking on the notes here on 17. Looks like Job 18, there is a text, so I'll try to remember to bring up this little note here next time we get together for Job 18. Let's see what else we have here. So we have the Cornerstone Bible Commentary here, CBC. This one so far has been a pretty good Bible commentary where it will go through and explain some of the verses, and then it will have what it's called, commentary on it. So it says, Eliphaz has responded to Job by deriding his claims to wisdom and has introduced his own theology with bombastic claims of the wise. All of this was familiar to Job, and its repetition was not merely redundant, it was injurious. And I think we heard that where, in 16, he's like, hey, I know these things. I could have said the same thing to you if you were in my place. And then he's in verse 16:6, he's like, if I speak, I'm not relieved. And if I don't speak, I'm not relieved. So what am I supposed to do? The difficulty is that nodding of the head found in the parallel lines is used elsewhere in Job of sympathetic action rather than a condemning one. Okay. It seems that Job speaks of the friends as attempting to bind words on him, even as they try to console him with a nodding head. So that's why they're kind of researching what is a nodding head. And I have my notes done here, but I haven't taken any. I'm mostly just bringing things in, and I'm not sure how I want to take notes quite yet. So let's see. Were there any notes on here from earlier from Eliphaz's speech? So Eliphaz. Okay, further, what Eliphaz has to say about the wicked was true. So another thing pointing to true things being said. He warns against rich embedded in the pithy sayings of Proverbs. The problem with Eliphaz was his failure to understand the limitations of his knowledge. He thought this truth concerning the wicked could account for all the pain in the world. This was the point he intended to drive home to Job, and he mustered the best of human eloquence in his attempt to do so. Okay. I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing. I think eventually we hear Bildad speak again. We hear Job reply to Bildad. Bildad, right? Bildad. And then eventually, Zophar speaks again. Eliphaz speaks a third time. So we're going to hear more back and forth as we continue. And I think that's probably good for now. Thanks for joining me today. Again, leave comments below on things I missed, things that were interesting, questions you had, and I will do my best to research them because I'm not an expert or a scholar or a theologian or anything. I'm just a normal person reading through the Bible, trying to understand it on my own, and just using research and text rather than trying to rely on books to tell me what the Bible says. We can read this. We have the ability to read. Let's read this. Now, of course, I don't know Hebrew. I don't know all the background, so we are using things to help understand context, as we should read anything with context. So have a great day, and I bless you as much as I'm able to. All right. Bye.